Welcome to the Close the Chapter podcast. I am Kristen Boyce, a licensed marriage and family therapist with a private practice, Pathways to Healing Counseling. Through conversations, education, strategies, and shared stories, we will be closing the chapter on all the thoughts, feelings, people, and circumstances that don't serve you anymore and open the door to possibilities and the real you. You won't want to miss an episode, so be sure to subscribe. Welcome to this week's Close the Chapter podcast. I am so grateful you're here with me. It's hard to believe we're entering in a new year. Where does the time go? And it's a time of reflection, learning more about yourself, growing, evolving, becoming more heart-centered, spreading more love and kindness and compassion to yourself and others. It's really a year of stepping into becoming more of yourself. And I highly encourage you to do some self-reflection this year. What was the biggest pattern you could see for yourself? What did you learn? Where your areas of growth are? Self-reflection helps you have more confidence, self-awareness, and break patterns that keep you stuck. And one of the patterns I think is super important for you to look at is your nervous system. Your body's responses to your environment, to triggers, to other people's moods, to stress. And the more you can regulate and calm your nervous system, the more empowered you're going to feel, calmer, more peaceful, and have more clarity. It is so important to learn how to do this that I am replaying an episode that was amazing. It's Deb Dana. And she really helped break down how to return to calm in the midst of stress and overwhelm and grief and all the emotions we have. It's one of the most important skill sets for you to learn and pass down to your family system. It really is something that your energy trickles down to other people. It is important that your energy is rooted and anchored and grounded. And so if you're looking for connection and safety and self-regulation, this is the episode for you. I think everybody needs to listen to this episode multiple times and grab the journal that I give away for free. It is at kristendboyce.com/free resources. We link it in the show notes. So without further ado, here's the most important episode. Well, one of the most important on regulating your nervous system and how to return back to yourself and back into your body in a more centered, peaceful place. Welcome to this week's Close the Chapter podcast. I am incredibly grateful for my guest today. She is a pioneer, I would say, in the therapy world in general. And the clients that have really utilized polyvagal theory has transformed their life. So I am so excited to have Deb Dana join us today. Welcome, Deb, to the Close the Chapter podcast.
Oh, thank you. It's really lovely to be here. And I love the name of your podcast. That's a lovely thing to think about, closing a chapter. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes. I hope it serves people and knowing there's possibility and hope to move through some hurt and pain from the past to live more fully in the present. So thank you for being here. So I thought we'd jump in. Let's just start with, how did you even get started with polyvagal theory? And what is it exactly for those that don't know anything about it?
Yeah. I've always been a neuroscience nerd. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And so I thought my clients need to understand their brains, obviously, because that's what we're working with. But then I read Steve's first book, Steve Porges's first book, and it was as if a missing piece of a puzzle just fell into place. And I thought, oh, this is what my clients need to understand as well, not just the brain, but the nervous system that's giving the information to the brain. So that set me off on a journey to reach out to Steve and talk with him. And then we clinicians always want to use a theory in practical application, right? It was like, well, this is amazing. And what do I do with it?
Yes.
Because I wanted my clients to be able to get to know their nervous systems. And so I began creating ways, worksheets, maps, practices, exercises, and probably drove my colleagues crazy. I was in a small group practice and they became my test pilots. And so I would come in and say, can you try this, try this? And that's how it all sort of organically came to be. And I will say, I think our clients are just really so wonderful at exploring with us, aren't they? They're curious. They want to change. And my clients, at least, were always game to say, well, let's try it and see. Let's get to know how is this going to shift the story that I'm stuck in? Because we do get stuck in our stories. And our stories, again, are our brain making sense of what our body is doing. And so it was lovely to sort of go beneath the story and listen to the nervous system and get that experience first. So yeah, my colleagues, my clients, Steve, it's been a really lovely journey of discovering. And I think, as we all will know when we get to know the nervous system, it's really about our nervous system first. When I teach workshops, clinicians come and they think they're coming to learn how to work with their clients. They really come to learn about their own nervous system, because that's where it begins. So as we play today, we'll play with some ways to sort of be with the nervous system differently, because that's what helps us have a different story about the world that we are living in. We move through the world differently, which I guess is why I like your close the chapter title. When the nervous system shows us, and Steve's brilliant work has really showed us that reshaping your nervous system is possible. We can move from where we are stuck to a more flexible way of moving through our days. And I think that's the hopefulness of polyvagal theory. It brings that hope that's rooted in science. And so for me, I love both. I love science and I love the art of exploring and therapy. So polyvagal theory brings that together really beautifully.
Yes. Who would have dreamed? Did you even have a dream
No.
that this would even be where
No.
you, all these books later,
No.
here you are? Isn't
Right,
it?
no.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah. It's crazy. When I think back on it, I think Steve and I, we collaborated on a first book together, a collected edition first book. And I think that was published in 2018. So that's not that long ago. My world just went poof and exploded. And I'm forever grateful for Steve for sort of saying, he's a scientist and he's always said, I'm not a clinician. I need a clinician. So we fit together beautifully. And I will say, if you haven't met him, if your listeners haven't listened to him, he's a deeply brilliant scientist, researcher. He's also one of the kindest humans I have ever met. So he's just a really loving, warm, welcoming presence to try and dive into the science. So that made it nice in the beginning, because the polyvagal theory is, I think, in its simplest form, has 3 organizing principles that we can talk about if you want. Steve expands that into, there's so much richness there in his 15, 17, however many principles. For me and for our work with clients, our work just being a curious human, I think 3 principles are really essential to understand neuroception, hierarchy, co-regulation. So I sort of took those 3 and said, how do we bring those to life in daily living and then with our clients? Because that's really what you need to understand your nervous system. Befriend your nervous system is what I call it. Can we befriend our nervous systems? And we can, through understanding the basic ways it works. So you want to talk about the 3?
Let's talk about it. And then
Okay.
for those listening, Steve and Poor just where I'm in Indiana. So Indiana
Nice.
University.
Yeah.
So all
Yep.
you IU fans out there, that's really where he kind of started generating these ideas.
Yeah.
Which is
And
really
still has a lab working there. So he's a creative human. And so I think we'll keep creating things forever. It's really fun to kind of see where his brain takes him and what he's making next. So
yes. Can you break down the 3 principles? So for those
Sure.
that just don't even know what polyvagal theory is, simplification of here's 3 principles.
And polyvagal theory simply is a theory that tells us how our nervous system works. And our nervous system is sort of where everything begins in our everyday experience. So it's the place where all of your lived experience begins. So good thing to understand. So if we start with neuroception, and that's a word that Steve created to really represent how the nervous system takes in information. Because the closest word in the English language anyway was perception, but that's a brain process. That's a cognitive process. And the nervous system works before the brain. It works below the level of our cognitive awareness. So he created the word neuroception, which I love. I think it's a great word, don't you?
It is.
Neuroception.
I didn't realize that he coined that because
Yeah,
in the PT world also, it's pretty
yeah,
big. I mean, he's
yeah.
really transcended not only
Both. Yes.
psychotherapy, but occupational therapy, physical therapy.
Yeah. And so neuroception is this huge concept that is working every second of our day. It's how the nervous system takes in information and decides, is it safe or not safe to do whatever it is we're thinking about doing. And it uses three pathways. It uses an inside pathway, an outside pathway, and a between. So the inside pathway means your nervous system is listening to what's happening inside your body, second to second to second, and then making an assessment. Does this feel good or not good, safe or unsafe? So if you have a headache, cue a danger. If you feel sort of a sense of warmth around your heart area, cue of safety. So we're getting these cues of danger and safety from that inside pathway in a stream all the time. Then there's an outside pathway, which is the environmental pathway. So the nervous system is checking the environment to say, does this feel okay or not? And there may be a sound that's unfamiliar. Ooh, might be cue of danger. There might be beautiful ray of light or the sun, cue of safety, right? And for all of us, that's happening all the time, but we don't become aware of it until we turn our attention to it. The third pathway, the between pathway, I love this pathway. It's like your nervous system and mine are having a conversation right now. Our brains are as well, but our nervous systems are getting to know each other. And we're saying safe or unsafe. Is there a cue of safety or cue of danger? You're nodding your head. That's a cue of safety. You got to smile. It's a cue of safety. You get these things just implicitly all the time. And those three pathways will come together. I think about the safety danger equation. They'll come together and the cues of danger or the cues of safety will outweigh one of another. So if the cues of safety outweigh the cues of danger, we're feeling good enough, safe enough to connect and engage and do what we need to do. But if the cues of danger outweigh the cues of safety, we're going to end up in a survival response. And so it's fascinating when you begin to bring attention to those cues. You can then begin to see, oh, so this particular, a lot of people talk about an environment that's cluttered as a cue of danger. When you bring awareness to it, instead of just being sort of cranky or on edge, you go, oh, that's what it is. And once you identify a cue of danger, you can do something with it. If you don't identify it, it just sort of sits there and disrupts your sense of well-being. But when you identify it, then you can say, oh, what do I want to do with it? And then the cues of safety, when we find a cue of safety, we can really deepen into it. We can hold on to it. Like you have a beautiful picture in back of you. That's a cue of safety for my system. I really like that.
Oh.
So if I was your client and we were working online, I would be using that as feeling, oh, I'm here. I'm safe. I can now settle in and do the work. So the cues of danger we need to reduce or resolve, we need to do something with. But the cues of safety we want to really reach for and deepen into. That's the beauty of the nervous system. It's a system that needs both. It needs both reduce cues of danger and actively experience cues of safety. And I think sometimes we forget that. We forget that in our clinical work and we forget that as humans, that it's not just about the danger. It's also about leaning into the safety. So that I think is important to recognize. So when the cues of danger outweigh the cues of safety, then the hierarchy, the second principle comes into play. The hierarchy simply says there are three states. There's a state of safety and connection. We call that ventral. There's a state of fight and flight. That's sympathetic. And there's a state of collapse disconnect. And we call that dorsal. And the hierarchy means we travel through those states in a predictable order, which again makes it really lovely, both for therapy and for knowing where I am as a human as I move through my day. So we all, I think, long to be in regulation and safety connection. I think biologically our nervous system longs to be there. And I believe it inherently knows how to get us there, which is a lovely thing to remember when we're stuck in suffering or stuck in survival. I'll often say, my nervous system knows the way. That's one of my mantras. My nervous system knows the way. And I can trust if I can just find a beginning opening, it's going to help me get the rest of the way there. So the top of the hierarchy, that place that we're longing to be. Ventral is a place where we really feel okay enough, safe enough, connected enough. It's not a pure bliss place. It's not a place where everything is wonderful and okay, but it's a place where the cues of safety outweigh the cues of danger. And I have enough of a sense of okayness, of hope, of possibility that I can engage with the world from that place of regulation. When the cues of danger begin to outweigh the cues of safety, when I start to feel uneasy, I'm going to move down the hierarchy into that fight and flight place. And most of us know that. That's your sympathetic nervous system, and it's flooding you with cortisol and adrenaline. It's that place where you're hypervigilant. You can't sit still. You can't focus. There's a flood of chaotic energy in your system. A survival response that your nervous system takes you to when it thinks you are in need of a rescue. And again, remember, it's that your nervous system has made that decision. It's not your brain, right? You don't get to decide. Your nervous system decides that for you. So as irrational or crazy as the response might seem, we want to remember your nervous system is simply taking you to that place because it thinks you're in danger. The nervous system doesn't assign motivation. It doesn't assign moral meaning. It doesn't do any of those things. It simply takes an action to protect you. So what we always say is it's acting in service of your safety. No matter how crazy it feels, it's in service of your safety.
Yes.
So, and the third place on the hierarchy, if the fight and flight response doesn't get you out of danger, the nervous system will take you to the bottom of the hierarchy, which is the disconnect collapse. We're no longer present. We're sort of in that floaty, numb, not really here place. We disappear in some way. And that's, again, the other survival response that your nervous system has available to it. I think I've talked with people a lot and I say, do you ever have that sense where you're sort of going through the motions, but you really don't care? Or you're going through the motions, but you don't really have any energy? It's like, okay. That's that beginning collapse, right? The full collapse might be you don't get out of bed, you don't get dressed, you don't take a shower, you just can't do anything. But there are all these flavors of collapse that people recognize, like, oh yeah, I sort of floated through the day, but I wasn't really there. Yeah. Or I sort of got somewhere and I don't know what happened. And then it was, that's sort of that disconnect collapse flavor of dorsal. So that's your nervous system. It has these three options available, and it's going to choose an option based on neuroception. So neuroception takes you somewhere on the hierarchy. So they're intricately connected, which is lovely, huh?
That's very nice. What's dissociation? Would that be dorsal collapse?
Yeah.
When you're describing that just seems...
all that floaty, numb, not really here. And, if you're a kid who grew up in a dangerous world, you probably got really good at dissociation because dorsal was an available resource. I couldn't leave, but I could not be here. My body had to stay, but I could not be here. So it's a lovely adaptive survival response for us as kids. And then as a grown-up, we want to say, ooh, it was needed then. Maybe it's not needed now. I mean, that's the discernment that we begin to bring to our nervous system. We need to sort of update our nervous system, say, I now have other resources available that I did not have back then. It's an interesting way to sort of respect the survival response and then see what else there might be now.
That makes sense. Where does someone begin to become more aware of where they are falling? So how does that begin?
Yeah. So one of the things I like to do with clients is map the nervous system. And so it's a really simple map of your three states. If we think about sympathetic, I like to map the survival states first. So let's think about sympathetic for a moment. And how does your body show you that you're in this place of the twin pathways of anger and anxiety, fight and flight? How does your body begin to tell you, ooh, you're not feeling so safe anymore? We start with cues from the body, and then we add, what are some of the things you do here? What are some of the feelings? And then what are some of your thoughts? So we begin to build a map in this way. I know I begin to feel sort of fidgety, and then the behaviors are sort of, I'm starting to not be focused and I can't pay attention. I'm cranky. Cranky's the word that I use to describe my initial step into, I get cranky. So, and I go, ooh, now I know where I'm going, right?
Yes. I get irritable. I call
Yeah,
mine
there you go.
irritable.
Irritable. Yeah. And I begin to think the thoughts are like, I have to do this, or something bad's going to happen if I don't, all those sort of thoughts. And then in dorsal, something very different happens, because in dorsal, all that energy drains from your system. So in dorsal, my first clue is I begin to feel like I've just taken a step back. I'm not really here the way I was a minute ago. I begin to lose track of my body. I'm not really in it in the same way. And then the feeling is one of I get sort of fuzzy. And then the thoughts are, oh, why bother? I go to the why bother place. Where do you go?
I'm just more exhausted. I think that's mine.
Yeah.
I can feel the exhaustion. And I want to numb at that point.
Yep.
I'll get on social media and all of a sudden I'm scrolling.
Exactly.
And I've left.
Right. You kind of know your dorsal, you kind of know your sympathetic. So then how do you know your ventral? And again, how does your body show you you're now in a place where you're safe enough, feeling regulated enough? And for me, there's a sense that I can feel the flow in my body. It feels easy to move, I think would be the way I put it. And then the behaviors are, again, it's just sort of I'm moving through my day. And it seems pretty easy. And I go from one thing to the next. And when I encounter a problem, it's okay. And that's the thought.
It's like you're in flow.
I'm in flow, yeah. The thought really for me is, it's okay, whatever. It'll be okay. That's my thought, which is a lovely thought.
Yes.
And
There's
again,
a side for me that comes out and like very compassionate and nurturing. It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay to have your feelings. It's okay to feel that way.
Yes.
Very tender place for me.
Yes. That's a great word. I love that word, tender. So the thing we want to remember is when our neurocepts danger, we don't stay in that place. We go down the hierarchy to sympathetic and then dorsal. And so all of that lovely tenderness and compassion is no longer available to us. So when I'm feeling under threat, it's not that I don't want to be compassionate. I don't want to be flexible and be a problem solver. It's that I'm now biologically unable to do that. And I think that's important for us to remember. It's not my cognitive choice. I didn't choose to not be able to show up and problem solve. My biology says you're unable now. It's not safe. So if we can have we have some self-compassion for ourselves. Oh, right. Yep. That's why. And I tell my clients all the time, it makes perfect sense that was what you did because you were not in a state of safety and regulation any longer. So then we can look out at the world, and we get plenty of opportunity nowadays to look out at the world and look at other people and say, oh, dysregulated.
Yes.
They're dysregulated. It makes sense that is what's happening because they don't have access to the qualities of a safe and connected nervous system.
It is so powerful. I've taught my kids, they're teens now, college and high school, word dysregulation. And they'll say, so-and-so got really dysregulated. Something must be going on. And just to know that is so empowering for oneself. And then you can offer compassion, even though it's hard. You can offer more compassion.
And compassion, I think, is hard to get to for many of us. I know it is for me often, but I can be curious. Curious is the first sort of place I can go when I enter into that place of ventral safe enough. I can begin to be curious. Dysregulated. Wonder what's going on. Maybe can't say, oh, dysregulated, let me help. No, but I can say, curious, wonder what it is, right? And that then can begin to bring that connection. So, I
want people to take that. If you're listening, just kind of take that with you. Just take a moment, kind of take that in. Go, curious. I wonder what that is. Just even if you have that, something to return to, let that kind of be an anchor point. I love that.
So for me, it's curiosity, and then we can reach for compassion. And then the last thing is self-compassion.
Yes.
That's sort of the route that I take. So if I can do curious, I'm thinking I'm good at the moment. So the third organizing principle, which sort of we were talking about there, is co-regulation. And co-regulation is simply our nervous systems can have that reciprocity, can do the back and forth sharing of the safety and connection. And if you're dysregulated, I can offer my regulation. Your system can receive it, and then we can enter into that place of connection and regulation and be curious and see what do we need to do. So that is a beautiful thing. And again, it's a biological co-regulation. And sometimes I don't need to say anything. My nervous system can say it for me. My nervous system can send you cues of safety and welcome without me ever saying anything, because I'm anchored in that place of regulation of ventral, top of the hierarchy. And so I'm sending you a message through my eyes, through my face, through my head movements, through my emotions, without ever having to say anything. And I think there's great power in that, which also I like us to remember, because if you are regulated, you are sending a message of welcome without doing anything, which I think is powerful. And it goes out to every other human that you come in contact with. Of course, the alternative is true too. We want to remember that if I am dysregulated, I am sending a warning to every nervous system around me that I'm a bit dangerous. And then that leads me to wanting to say to everybody, none of us are regulated all the time. There is not a human who is regulated all the time, nor should we expect to be. It's normal and expected to become dysregulated in small ways every day, all the time. If you think to where you started your day, it's a little after noon for me, and I was up really early, and I can think of several times already today when I felt that dip into a little bit of frustration, that dip into some anxiety, and a dip into it's hopeless, and then came back to regulation. That's the key. We don't suffer when we dysregulate. We suffer when we get stuck there. So we want to remember that dysregulation is not a bad thing. It's when you move into anxiety or anger or disconnect, collapse, and get stuck there and can't come back to regulation. Then we suffer both physically and psychologically, because your nervous system manages both your physical well-being and your emotional well-being.
That's a key. So it manages your physical and emotional well-being. There's a connection there.
Yes. So for all of us who suffer with some of the common physical things, people have digestive problems, people suffer with chronic fatigue, people suffer with respiratory distress. All of these things sort of are rooted in a dysregulated nervous system. And so part of what we're trying to do to become more healthy is have a more regulated nervous system. Because as soon as I dysregulate, my digestion goes off. That's true for every human. You need a regulated nervous system to have healthy digestion. So many people have some sort of digestive issue. It's a dysregulated nervous system. So can we become more regulated and then see how the symptoms might reduce?
That's so key. So someone says, okay, I really want to work on a regulated nervous system. Where do I start? Even begin to notice, become aware, and then start regulating my nervous system?
The map is really the place to start. And I will send you the map and the mapping directions, and you can put that out there, because that really is the place we need to start. Because once you have your map, then in any given moment, you can do the notice and name practices. Notice, where am I in this moment? Name it and listen just for a moment to what the nervous system is trying to tell you, because it's always trying to tell you something. And symptoms are a nervous system's way of communicating. So if I'm take a moment and I go, where am I in this moment? Ooh, I'm feeling some of that anxious energy. And I turn toward that, I'll get a message. So stop for a moment where you are and just think, where am I in this moment? Might be ventral, might be sympathetic, might be dorsal. And just turn toward that state for a moment. And what is your nervous system trying to tell you? What does it want you to know? And that's all. And it's a quick little listen. We don't want to get pulled into the huge story. We just want to listen. Like I was listening as you were doing it. I thought, oh, my nervous system has a little bit of that sympathetic anxiety. And it's trying to, and so the message I got was, slow down a bit. You're going to get everything you want to get into this conversation. You can slow down a bit. I thought, oh, that's good to know.
That's very good to know.
Yeah. So what did you hear?
I'm loving this conversation. I could feel a little the sympathetic, just the anxiety of, oh, this is exciting, like almost like the excitement anxiety.
Yeah. Nice.
So I could feel that in my body, and I could feel just your presence. It's You have a presence even when we got on to begin. I could just feel like you have a
I
warmth
love
about you that I
it.
could feel that. So that was nice.
That's neuroception. That's that between pathway, which is so powerful. Yeah.
It really is.
So yeah, once you do the map, then you do the notice and name and listen in practice over and over. Because in the beginning, this is all about information gathering. I need to know where I am so I know what do I need to do next. Because if I'm regulated, let's stay here a little longer. If I'm dysregulated, what do I need to come back? So in sympathetic, I am flooded with energy. My problem is not that I don't have energy. My problem is that energy is chaotic, disorganized. So I want to think, what are the ways I can organize that energy? And we each have our own ways that call to us. So I often will turn on music. I love really loud music. So I'm going to turn really loud music and I'm going to just be with that music.
Like what? Like what will you listen to? Now you've got me curious.
My dad loved classical music and he loved to blast classical music. So that's
Really?
probably where
Okay.
it came from. So I often will turn on classical music and blast
Like
it.
a Beethoven, a Mozart, or something else.
Opera. I love opera
Okay.
singers. So, and then I have two granddaughters. They are 11 and almost 13, and they make me playlists. So I have no idea who they are, but they're fun to listen to.
There
So
you go.
I'll
I
turn
love
those
it.
on. Right.
That's a great idea for those listening. If you have grandkids, or have them make you a playlist. That's
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely.
I love this.
So
Okay.
music is one
Loud music.
for me. Yeah, loud music. It's interesting. A lot of people love to move. I'm less of a mover. You might be a mover. I'm less of a mover. I'm more of a take it in and feel it
Me
come
too.
in and be.
I'm less of a mover
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. And sometimes it simply is get up and get out of the house. Enlarge your perspective. It's part of what happens when we go to that fight flight places we get a very narrow vision and we get stuck in that narrow vision. So what do you do to enlarge your perspective? And for me, sometimes it's just, I just got to get out because I could stay in my house, just
change your environment.
Working. Change the environment. Yeah, that helps. Yeah. And then in the dorsal place, it's the opposite because we don't have energy.
Yes.
Sympathetic, flooded with energy. Dorsal, all that energy is drained. How do you gently bring back energy? And gently is the key word because oftentimes people, well-meaning, good-hearted people will say, well, just get up and go for a walk. It's like, really, that is something I can't possibly do. I don't have the energy to do that. And therapists even, I've worked with a lot of therapists who will say, well, I asked my client to do that. Could they do that? They didn't have the energy to go for a walk or go call a friend or make a date I have no energy to do that. So what do you do, again, that doesn't require much energy, but brings a little bit in? Yeah. I have a cat I live with, so often it's the cat.
What's your cat's name? I love animals.
Buddy. He's a sweetheart. I know. So often it's Buddy because he's always around and that's easy. Again, music is lovely. You can push a button, very different music for this, but you can push a button and the music is there. I have enough energy to do that. I can remember moments of being with people and the remembering comes into my nervous system. So it's the simple little things that you can do. I can't go for a walk, but I can look out the window. It's the little thing. Dorsal, you want to be kind to yourself, be gentle. And once the energy begins to come back in, you're going to find your way to being able to actually go outside or phone a friend or text somebody. But in the beginning, that's too much.
Thank you for saying that. I don't think people recognize that is, you're like, okay, go do this. Well, just the thought of it, they're like, there's no way I could do that. Mm-hmm. So it's really honoring that part of your nervous system.
Yes.
Not shaming that part.
Right. And we want to remember that the person in dorsal has lost hope. Dorsal is a place of why bother? Nothing's ever going to change. I have no options. I have no hope. And so we try to tell people, be hopeful. It'll be okay. The sun will shine, the silver lining, whatever. We forget they aren't choosing this. Their nervous system has said, no hope can live here because it's dangerous. It is better to be shut down and collapse. It's safer to be shut down and collapse. So when we come at someone and say, oh, let's try these 5 things, it's shaming, it's overwhelming, and they'll go deeper into dorsal. If someone's in dorsal, and dorsal is a place I know well, each of us has what I call a home away from home in either sympathetic or dorsal. It's where your system takes you more often. And mine more often will take me to dorsal. So I'm very familiar with dorsal. And I've learned that what a person in dorsal needs is just to know there's another human there. So I will often say to people, I'm right here with you. Nothing else. I'm right here with you and let's do whatever. Just, I'm right here with you. That's it. And with clients, I would say, I'm right here with you and we can stay here as long as your system needs us to. That's it.
This is so important. I'm right here with you as someone. That's all you need to say.
Yeah. Because in dorsal, we feel alone, lost, abandoned. My clients would say, I'm where no one is ever going to find me when I go to dorsal. So the antidote, I'm right here with you.
That hit my spirit in such a tender way.
Yeah.
I just feel like that is it. Because you're not trying to talk someone out of or shame them or, come on, we're going to help you feel better.
Right.
Have a window of tolerance to say, it's okay. I'm right here with you. That's it.
Yes. And that takes us being able to be regulated around someone who is in dorsal despair. That's really hard. So for all the clinicians who listen, that's your growing edge. How do you stay regulated and just be with? Because we often try to problem solve. And
we think we have to have the answers. We have to be helpful. We have to have the answers.
Right.
And this is what is helpful to the client is just be. I'm right here
that
with
is
you.
the answer. Yeah.
And even if you have a grandchild, parent, because I know I love your resilience book. Love that book. Holds a special place in my heart. I really believe that's the same words, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
yes. Yeah. Same words. With my grandkids, same thing. When they're really totally sympathetically dysregulated, ooh, what do we need to do? You have more energy. You meet them with energy. And when they're in that place of hopelessness, because middle school girls can go to hopelessness. Yep, because there are a lot of dysregulated beings in middle school. They're just sitting there going, oh, I'm right here with you. Let's just sit here together. That's it. Right. But again, your energy level has to meet the others from a place of regulation. You don't want to go to dorsal. You want to be regulated and then be with someone in dorsal.
So you're in ventral.
You don't want to
You're ventral.
You're in ventral. Yeah.
So
and
regulation.
You're going to go be.
You're not going to mat. You're just going to go be this, is staying in your...
In a quiet way, in that quiet place. And then in sympathetic, I'm anchored in ventral and I'm going to go be with someone in sympathetic with a lot more energy. Again,
so what
in
would
ventral.
That look like? What would that look like? Like if you were meeting your granddaughter or grandkids or whatever.
Ooh, what do we need to do? I often ask that question. What do we need to do? Not what do you want to do or what we should, but what do you need to do? Because the nervous system will show you. And if you have nervous system language, my grandkids now will do that with me. What does your nervous system want right now? And it will tell you. It needs to go run. It wants to go out. It wants to eat ice cream. It wants to, I don't know, whatever that is. What does your nervous system need in this moment? That's really the guiding question.
Yes. Could we teach this all across this? What does your nervous system need? And if we're equipped with the languaging, but more importantly, your self-connection to your nervous system.
Yes.
It's like even asking yourself, what does my nervous system need?
Yeah, that's the first question. What does my nervous system need? And then I can look at you and say, now, what does that nervous system need? And it's not what do you need to come to ventral, because that's not always where you can get to, but just what does it need in the moment? Right? A person in dorsal, their nervous system just needs to know it's not alone. That's it. And sympathetic, it needs to know it can have big energy and emotions and it's okay. Because people in dysregulation have a fear they'll never get out of that. I mean, that's the fear. I'm going to be stuck in this crazy making place forever, or I'm going to be in this hopeless place forever. So we are bringing the reminder that your nervous system knows the way back to regulation. Right?
So let's say someone's in fight. I work with couples. Someone's in fight. Someone's in kind of freeze.
Yep.
Because you're just like, okay, what does your nervous system need? They're in fight. The other person's kind of in this self-protective place. Like you're scary. You're in danger. How do you navigate that if someone's in fight, someone's in more of a freeze state?
Yeah. I'm one that loves to narrate for others who I think feels like, because we've done the map, feels like you're in the sympathetic part of your map and it feels like your partner's gone to the dorsal part of their map. Because the dorsal person's really not taken in the info. The sympathetic person can at least recognize you're there and, yep, okay, what do we need to be able to bring a bit of regulation in? So I'm going to start with the person in sympathetic because they're closer to regulation. I have a better shot at helping them regulate.
Okay.
And then the two of us are going to go to the person in dorsal and bring our regulating energies to the person in dorsal. I mean, that's really the beginning of family work, of couples work.
It is.
How
I
do
love
I help?
family systems work. It's my favorite.
Yes. Yes. So how do I help one of them come to a bit more? That's co-regulation. I'm going to do it with you. And then the two of us are going to go be with the other one. And it's interesting, as you probably know in your work with couples, in the beginning, one partner will say, why am I always the one? Why is it always me?
You're
Right?
scripting this. This happens so many times, so much.
And so now I get to say, well, because biologically you're closer to regulation and we can get you there more quickly and then we can go help your partner. When your partner becomes more regulated down the road, it won't be this way. But I can give people a biological reason. Here's what's happening and here's where we're heading. And as soon as your partner has more capacity for regulation, it's not going to be you doing all the work.
You articulated this in a way I've never heard. So helpful. And that's why parenting, the parent has to regulate first.
Yes.
Otherwise, we can't really help our child.
Exactly. And it's interesting because it's a responsibility we carry as a parent, as a therapist, as a colleague, whatever it is, to be regulated so that the other person has that resource. As parents, our kids don't have a good chance at regulating if we're dysregulated. And none of us are regulated all the time. So we need to bring that sense of it's okay to dysregulate. Go do what you need to do to regulate and then come back. It's not the rupture. That's the problem. It's when we have a rupture but don't make a repair.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's what the Edtronic's brilliant research tells us, that it's like 30% of the time we're in this place of attunement. And you can have a beautifully, safely attached sense with 30% of the time because the other 70% recognizes the misattunement and comes back and makes a repair. That's the only difference. What I would tell that to the families I work with or the couples, because I would expand that and say, I think it's true for couples too. Can you connect 1 out of 3 times? I think I can do that. That's all you need to do. The other 2 out of 3, you need to recognize there was a disconnection and reconnect. That's it. And that, I think, if we could all learn to notice a rupture and then offer a repair, the world would be a different place, right?
It would. And the repair work is so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're spot on. That's really helpful. What has been, and I know I didn't prepare you with this question. What has been one of the most, besides Stephen Porges's books, what has been the most powerful books you've read in your life that has spoken to you or helped you maybe open you up in a different way, think in a different way, or had an impact on you?
Wow. That's an interesting question. I'm trying to.
And it doesn't have to, it doesn't.
Yeah. I know. I'm just trying to think what might, not in the therapy world in any way, but Gifts from the Sea.
Yes, I had that book.
Yeah. Several people have given me that book over my lifetime. And I love that book. I love the sea anyway. And it's a place that I go to heal and to feel. And it just came up for me again. I'm sort of navigating my way through living alone now. My husband died a little over a year ago. And so there's this interesting grief process that is a different nervous system challenge than other things. And that's why I'm really so keen on having people not try to tell somebody else what to do, because I've spent a fair amount of time in dorsal with a true belief, a sustaining belief that my nervous system needs to be there for some reason and it will bring me back out, which it has. And I needed the people around me to not try and drag me out of it because I wasn't ready. It's fascinating. So when we keep looking and trusting the nervous system, you do it differently. Gifts from the Sea is one I keep going back because isn't that a beautifully written book?
Oh, it's so, and I'm like you, I love the sea, my place too. Kind of reconnect.
Yes.
That's a beautiful one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else I've read recently. I read research all the time and I read therapy books all the time, and some of them certainly have changed my life, certainly. And yet it's probably the other books that kind of get in. and land and move you in
Print.
some way.
I bet
Yeah.
that is a powerful what you've walked through with losing your husband to watch the nervous system in a totally different way. And I hold all the compassion for that process for you. I just can imagine that has opened up another way to experience it.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And I'm kind of percolating with what do I want to do with it? Because it feels like an important experience for me. So we'll see. And I will say, I'm sure you have people listening. So many people have experienced loss of all sorts of kinds, and so it's sort of creating a new rhythm after loss or creating a new rhythm after some sort of big change. Because our nervous system finds a rhythm and it's a disrupted rhythm that we're sensing as we're trying to come through to the other side of whatever it is and find the new rhythm. I'm still looking for my new rhythm. It's beginning to create some routines that feel like it brings through, but it's not set yet. Who knows how long it's going to take? I don't know. But for everybody who's listening, who has their own sense of, this rhythm isn't where I want to be or where I'm heading, trust that your nervous system will, again, help you get there. Doesn't mean we don't have to partner with our nervous system. It's not going to do it all on its own. We have to partner with it. We want to learn to listen. We want to hear the cues and say, oh, that did not feel like it was taking me in the right direction. That's your neuroception saying, that didn't feel so good. And don't you love it? For me, I can often get into my head and go, I wonder why, and try and maybe I should overrule that. Maybe that's not true. And maybe because we come with this sense that we're supposed to power through things. Nervous system is not going to.
It won't let you. It
No.
won't. Grief won't let you, especially.
No.
I might tell them it won't.
So powering through is not the answer for the nervous system. It's listening to stretching. We want to stretch, so I need to be trying new things. So I say we stretch, not stress. That's the thing we do, because once I go beyond the stretch to the overriding what my system's telling me into a stress, I go into a survival response, and then I'm right back in an old pattern, in an old story. So we know that. And doesn't mean I don't do it, right? But it means I come out the other way and I went, did that again. What are we going to learn from it this time? So, it's messy and it's okay. It can be messy in a way that we listen and learn, and then the mess makes sense in a different way, I think.
I agree. Is there anything we didn't cover that you feel like was important?
Oh, I think I would like to say that it's the tiny moments of okayness that we're looking for. We don't need to spend a few hours or a day in okayness, in safety, to have our system feel the difference, feel the shift happening. And I think that's important because for many of us right now, we have these moments. You might get 5 minutes. Oh, you have a little dog in back of you that just came to say hi. I love it. Oh, a couple.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello, friends. Yeah.
See, that's a moment of, I call those glimmers, right? That's a glimmer for me. I said, there's a little being there. And I stopped to notice that out loud. I didn't let it just go by. And it landed here. I could feel it in my system. Every time some little moment like that happens and you stop just for a few seconds to take it in, it lands again and it begins to accumulate. So those tiny moments will begin to shift your system towards having more access to the ventral state of safety and connection. And I think for me, that's been reassuring to remember that I don't need big, long, tiny moments will add up. And again, I think those are within reach for most of us, the tiny moments. And it doesn't discount the suffering. It's a both and. It gives me more capacity to be with my suffering differently. And that's what we're trying to do with humans, I think.
Yes. Thank you so much, Deb. Where can people find you if they're like, I love her?
Rhythmofregulation.com is my website. So come there, and we have lots of free stuff. We've got workshops that we post when I do them. We've got meditations that are beautiful. We've got podcasts. We'll put this podcast link up. It's really fun to go. I sometimes just go to seek. I have a wonderful assistant. Her name is Melissa, who updates things, and she makes it look beautiful too. So it's like, this feels good to my nervous system. So come to Rhythm of Regulation. You can leave a glimmer for us there. We're collecting glimmers to create a global glimmer collage. So, yeah.
I love that verbiage. That's a glimmer. Like, I like that. And the rhythm of regulation. I'm like, oh, yes, I like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Nice
Yeah.
website title. I don't know where you find the time to write and do everything you do. My goodness. You've written so many books in the past 5, 6, 7 years.
I know. It's been a passion and a purpose, which, when you get a spark comes in, it's just like, ooh, this. And I will say, I wrote the nervous system workbook is just out. And the Glimmers journal is coming out in March. And in the publishing world, it takes a long time for things to come from final draft to publication. And so I was writing both of those as Bob was in his final months of life, and then finished them after he died. And when I got the pages back to read the proofs, it was like, oh, I hope I like it still. I didn't remember writing some of it because that's what your brain does. You just focus, you do. But I do like them. So, but it was lovely for me to think, oh, there is purpose. My nervous system knew that this would help me make it through. So I'm taking a break now from writing for a little bit. I'm just going to enjoy. I'll give you my thought for the new year, and you can see what you want to do, and your listeners can see. I thought, what do I need? What do I want to bring, like a intention, not goals really, but what's needed in my life? And I came up with, I need joy and purpose. So I'm putting those two together. I need joy. I need those moments of joy because I can get really driven in work. So I need the moments of joy, but I need to feel like I'm serving a purpose. So joy and purpose. Those are my two. And you can
I love
play
that.
with what yours
did
are.
that download for you pretty easily? Or did you have, it just kind of came through. That's what you.
And it came from a moment of feeling unfulfilled, of feeling unhappy and thinking, why? What's going on? Got lots going on, is that shouldn't, right? When you think should or shouldn't.
I should be grateful for what I have. And yes.
Right. So it came from that place. And I thought something's not fitting with my system. So I sat for a moment. That's what I got. So you can see what yours are and you can email me and let me know.
I love that. Yes, I invite everybody listening to kind of think about what that is for you in the new year. I'm going to think about yours. Those resonated for me. I was like, yes, joy is one of those that's been on my list for a while. So I think I have moments of joy, but really, really letting my nervous system bask.
Yeah. Yes.
Notice it and take it in and be with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I will send you all those well wishes for
Thank you.
Year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deb. I appreciate the work you're doing in the world. It is serving such a purpose in even my life, and I know my clients' lives. So thank you for being who you are and being the vessel for really helping people find healing in their nervous systems.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the Close the Chapter podcast. My hope is that you took home some actionable steps along with motivation, inspiration, and hope for making sustainable change in your life. If you enjoyed this episode, click the subscribe button to be sure to get the updated episodes every week and share with a friend or a family member. For more information about how to get connected, visit Kristen, Kristen, Boyce, Boice.com. Thanks and have a great day.